Hey guys, got another fridge here. This one was trash picked a couple hours ago by a neighbor. It's the stainless is all messed up, but I think he loaded it on the side. I think it is. Is that messed up? Oh, anyway. It's older. Looks like maybe, I don't know, maybe 2007, 2008, somewhere around there. The only thing I did, I swear, is I opened up and hosed it down because it was absolutely filthy inside. Like, yeah, it was bad. Smelled really bad, looked really bad. So before I even brought it into the garage, I just hosed it off. So this is a model ED5H VAX L01. So it seems to be a fairly simple fridge. Doesn't seem to be an inverter or anything like that. It actually looks to be an almost identical clone to a fridge that I actually have in the garage. That one back over there. That's the Kenmore version of the Whirlpool you just looked at. I looked inside, the freezer section's the same, the fridge section's the same. The only thing that's really different is the control up here. So on mine, this is all digital. This one has a computer. This one actually has a more traditional thermostat, mechanical thermostat. So I think the first step, now that it's clean and dry, is to plug it in and see what happens. I'm guessing, this is purely a guess, I'm guessing there's probably a bad starter on this, or there's nothing wrong with it. The fridge is pretty reliable. I'm gonna go ahead and take this cardboard cover off, because I'm fairly certain I know what's wrong with this thing. After you work on enough refrigerators, you know what the common problems are, and the starter is definitely one of them. This one is not a complex fridge with an inverter board or lots of fancy computer controls. So from that perspective, it's actually a very nice fridge. It's kind of refreshing. Not much to go wrong here. It's quite possible I even have a starter in stock for this thing. One of the previous fridges that I trash picked, it was I think that was a Kenmore. Yeah, Kenmore Superba. Or the Whirlpool Superba. Anyway, it's the same thing. That one had one of those complicated three-phase compressors with a special inverter board and board for this, a board for that. And yeah, that thing, if it ever failed, would be expensive. All right, so let's take a look. Hey, buddy. Dog's coming to say hi. All right, so I got the back panel off. There's our compressor. Starting components are over on that side. I'm gonna go plug it in and we'll see what happens. Hopefully it doesn't let the smoke out. Now, if the start components are bad, or if the compressor is locked up for that matter, you'll just hear it click. That's the sound of the overload going out. Hear that? Hopefully you guys heard that click. That was the sound of the overload clicking off. So again, either we have a locked up compressor or we have a problem with the start components. I just heard it click again. So what we'll do is we'll unplug it. We'll get this all apart over here and we'll see if we can troubleshoot what's going on. Let's remove this clip right here. And down here as well. This should just pop off like that. So first I'm going to check the compressor terminals, just to make sure there's nothing shorted out. And to do that, let's see if we can figure out which one's which from here. It's kind of a different looking starter. Okay, I got my multimeter set on ohms, so you can see from the bottom terminal to the top left, we have 4.6 ohms. From the bottom terminal to top right, we have 7 ohms. And the top left and top right, we have 11.6. So that tells me the bottom terminal is the common. The top left terminal is the run windings. And the top right terminal is the start windings. And let's check all of them to ground. We should have no connection here. Yeah, so this compressor is very likely good. And our problem is very likely in these start components. Okie dokie. So when these things are bad, when they're cool and the overload isn't tripped, well, not the overload, when the backup, when these things are bad, you get a pretty high resistance connection between the start and the run terminal. And here we have, is it an open circuit? Let's see. Yeah, we actually have an open circuit. So I'm fairly confident this thing is bad. The way these things work, there's a little, I don't know what it's made of, there's some like little metal disc in here that will allow current to flow from, basically energize the start and the run windings at the same time, very briefly until the compressor gets going. If that doesn't happen, the run windings aren't enough to start the compressor all by itself. So that little, they call it a positive temperature coefficient, that little piece will allow current to flow to both the start and the run windings simultaneously for a split second. It heats up, then it opens the circuit, and the start windings are disengaged. That's not happening here. So right now we're not getting any current to the start windings. So let me see if I can disassemble this thing, and maybe we can clean it. Sometimes you can just clean these things up and they come back to life. While we're here though, we'll test our run capacitor, which tests at 12.21 microfarads, and it is rated for, look at the writing there, 12 microfarads. So our run cap is very likely good. Okay, after a lot of cursing and fighting, I was able to get this thing open, and it is not what I expected. So normally there's just a little metallic disc in here, but there's actually a printed circuit board in there. I'm not sure what's wrong with it or what it does, but it stinks. So I'm assuming it's bad. Let me see if I can pry it out. Yeah, I can't get this part out without destroying it. I don't know if it's glued in there and I just can't see it, but it's in there tight. All right, I'm not really getting anywhere with this, so I think we've come to the conclusion this piece needs to be replaced. But before we spend money on this fridge, let's confirm that the compressor actually runs and that it starts to cool the fridge. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook up one of these bad boys here. Oh, meter just turned off. This is a solid state relay overload start capacitor combination. This fridge doesn't have, I guess the start capacitor is built into that relay, but it also has a run capacitor. And this appears to be wired between the start and the run windings. So we're going to make sure that this is wired into that circuit because that's necessary. You can't run without this on a compressor that needs a run cap. All right, let's see if I can't win myself a Darwin Award. So I got our start device hooked up to the compressor. I have our capacitor hooked up here. Let's hook up AC power and just see if this thing does anything. See if the compressor starts and attempts to cool. This is not a permanent repair, so don't get all upset. Need to trim those wires back a bit. All right, Darwin Award, here I come. Let's see if this thing boots up or it explodes. Those little jumper wires going to and from the capacitor, those are really small gauge. We'll see if they melt. I hear a compressor. I don't see any sparks. Not getting too warm. So our compressor is running, folks. The liquid line is getting warm. That's a good sign. She's running. All right, so I think the next order of agenda is just to get a replacement part. We know this is bad. Fairly confident the fridge is going to cool at this point. So let's order the part and we'll pick it up then. All right, it's a couple days later. We got our replacement start device, genuine factory part. Could use an aftermarket kit. I believe that Supco makes a universal starter now that actually has pigtails already built in for a run cap. I didn't know this. Kind of found that out by accident. But anyway, so the part does look a little bit different. It's a lot smaller. Like maybe an advancement in technology, I don't know. Hopefully the wiring is the same, otherwise we may have to adapt some things. It does look a bit different, but we'll see. All right, so we'll put our run cap on here. Like so. Remember we tested that, that was good, so no issues there. Let's go install this thing and see if it works. All right, let's see if our wiring harness plugs in. Oh, it actually does. Look at that. Neato. Let's plug this in like... Come on, you can figure this out. Only goes in one way. You guys are a little bit in the way, but I'll try and figure it out without you moving. There we go. Look at our clip. Which obviously does not fit anymore because this part is a lot smaller. Yeah, it's not going to do. We'll have to rig something else up there to hold this thing on. Let's see if it works though. Gonna wheel over the power cord. All right, let's plug it in, see what happens, folks. Put the mic next to the compressor so you guys can hear. She's running. Okay, I was able to modify this clip. I just clipped off, I don't know, maybe a 5/8 of an inch on here and just bent a new hook, and now it's on there securely now. So that was a pretty easy mod. Let's get this back cover on. Okay, back panel is back on. Compressor is running. Let's stick a temperature probe inside and just watch it come down to temperature. Okay. Let's start in the freezer. Got a little thermocouple here. And shut the door on that. So our starting temperature is, you can read that, it says 82.2, 82.1. It's already coming down a bit. Let's check back in a bit and see how it's doing. About an hour has passed. Let's see how cold it is in the freezer now. So we're at 17 degrees. It's cooling just quite nicely. So I think we'll see how cold this freezer gets. It might get down to like, I don't know, 0 degrees, -10. So I think I might let this thing run all night and we'll see what the temperature of the fridge side is too. Okay, it's the next morning. Admittedly, I cheated a little bit. I checked the temperature. It was 46 degrees and it had satisfied. So I think why it was a little high was because of the temperature adjuster in the top. It was right dead center, so I lowered it down. It was just one notch. That was about an hour ago, and we're already in the 30s. 38.3. So this fridge is fine. Let's check the freezer. Should be nice and cold too. It might take a while to come back down, but we're definitely in the safe zone there. 5, 4, 2, 1. Yeah, we're in the negative, so we're fine in the freezer. Well, there you have it, folks. We trash picked this thing. It was not working. We put, I think it was a $40 part into it. Could have gotten away with a part a lot cheaper. And now it works. Works great, actually. And if you want to try that universal starter, it's a starter, relay, and overload combined. I think it was start capacitor, starter, relay, overload combined. And it also supports a run capacitor. I'll leave a link in the description. It's a product, I think I said it earlier, made by Subco. It's like maybe 20 bucks or so. So if you're interested in that, don't want to spend the 50 bucks or so to get the actual genuine OEM part, I'll leave a link in the description. Anyway, you found this video helpful, please subscribe, stay safe. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care. Bye.